Everybody, it is 7:22. Welcome back. It's a great day for this Thursday. Well, he made it through the fog, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing because we have time to talk. Band Bombshell Chad Taylor is here to give you a scoop as to what you can hear musically coming up this weekend.
How's it going, guys?
Hello. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. It is pretty foggy out there.
Yeah.
Jason, go do something about that.
Be careful.
Wave your hands or do your weatherman magic, whatever it is that you
We
get.
didn't tape a knife to the front of your car.
Stay home, take the day off.
It's rough, man. You could. So, yeah, I suppose to start with, we'll talk about how we had a bit of a, I suppose you call it a holiday last week there with April Fool's Day. And at this point, especially on the internet, everything's lying to you.
Right.
So you kind of expect it, and most of it doesn't really work out that well. The Nadas, however, just threw up on their Facebook page a, frankly, roughly photoshopped picture of them on the cover of Rolling Stone that went nuts. I mean,
really?
It was liked nearly 6,000 times, shared almost 500, and got over 100,000 views online.
Wow.
So people just fell for that hook, line, and sinker. So well played, Nadas.
So Nadas win then.
Well
Good
played,
job.
Nadas.
Yes. Okay.
You guys win April Fools for this year.
Yeah.
Moving
Everybody
on.
still loves them.
It's true. They're still insanely popular. And so, moving on, some festival news. 8035 announced their first lineup announcements
Jason
for the
likes
year.
the font.
I love this.
Yeah, the little Super Mario Brother
8-bit kind of thing. Yeah. Weezer and Wilco are the two big names here, the headliners. Hot Butter Rum, Hero for the Hills, Cold Nothings. John Wayne and the Pain has been here a couple of times. Is going to be one of the big ones. That's kind of a partial announcement. That's very much the first announcement of the year. Now normally what they'll do is they'll release 2 or 3 names, every other day or so as they get contracts in and as they kind of tease this thing out. So you're going to see that number probably double by the time we get around to the actual festival.
Many more, huh?
What's your reaction so far? Because we had them on yesterday and we got the whole big announcement, everything like that. But what, as a man who's very in depth with music in our community, what's your gut reaction?
One of the things that I mentioned on my radio show with Joe Lawler yesterday was that Weezer and Wilco are at least a couple of bands that are they're good bands. You may not like them, but they're one of those bands. I mean, you can't objectively say all those guys stink because they just don't. And so even though you don't necessarily have bands that everyone's going to like, and no one's going to like everything. Right. But getting 2 bands that are unquestionably, unimpeachably good bands and of that caliber to headline your show is fantastic.
Recognition factor is way
exactly, exactly. And Wilco especially is one of those bands that has been kind of that holy grail for 8035. They've been trying for 6 years to get Wilco on the act, on the bill, and it just hasn't worked because of timing or logistics, that sort of thing. So this year, for it to finally work, not only speaks to, I think, the effectiveness of moving off of the 4th of July weekend, which frees up a lot of bands for being able to come in, but also speaks to where the 8035 has grown over the past years. And we do have a festival in town now with a national brand recognition, so that's good. Yeah. I think it's all good. The rest of the stuff is all very solid supporting acts. You don't need a 3rd huge band on there. Just 10, 15 acts that are regionally known and well supported. It's a good start.
Okay.
Also, we've got 515 Alive, which is a local EDM dance kind of techno show, which has moved to Gateway Park. These guys have grown this thing organically over the past few years. They started with just a half dozen bands playing in that little alley between Hotel Kirkwood and Vaudeville Muse, or Vaudeville Muse and Royal Mile, I mean. And now they're in Gateway Park. It's 2 days. It's going to be a huge festival. For people who like to get out and dance, this is kind of the event of the year. They announced their lineup this week as well. Iodo and the Floozies are a couple of the acts coming in that are going to headline this thing. They've got, this thing is going to be gigantic. They've got probably 40 acts that are going to come through town and play for 2 straight days. People can dance. There's a bunch of different little, audio-visual things they have going on, a bunch of neat tricks that they can do do with their acts that like 8035 can't, because it's a different experience and you're there for different reasons. But they're going to keep leaking out announcements now as the time goes by as well. 515alivefestival.com is where you can go to check that out, buy tickets, check out lineups as they announce that as well. So another big announcement. Now it's pretty much the same time as 8035. So a lot to look forward to for the summertime.
Wow.
One last festival note, Laserfest, which.
Again,
spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. Find out where it's going to be.
Why? What's going on?
Okay, so.
Well, first explain what happened.
So originally, Laserfest, a few years ago, for those who may not know, was a big deal.
Yeah.
They were bringing big acts into town. They were pulling in 25,000, 30,000 people, but they've always kind of moved around. They were here at Waterworks Park. They moved to Indianola. They were out in Boone for a year.
They were at the airport in Ankeny one year. Remember
exactly,
that?
Yep. Yeah. And so, but now in the last couple of years, it hasn't worked out quite as well. So last year they had moved kind of at the last minute. They were supposed to be at Boone, and then they moved it down to essentially the Wells Fargo Arena parking lot. They had some bands inside playing in the Iowa Event Center, but a lot of the local bands and some of the smaller acts were playing basically at the parking lot, which it rained and that didn't help things, and so there was a lousy turnout. Well, this year now they've moved it down to, they originally moved down to Court Avenue.
Right.
On 2 non-consecutive days, because the weekend they wanted.
It was a Friday and a Sunday.
There was something going on the Saturday on Court Avenue, so they had to do Friday and then basically strike the entire set, then bring it back in on Sunday, set it back up again, and have another show. Well, response to that was horrible. People hated that idea. Laserfest felt that the majority of the complaints was about the location and not the time or the lineup. So instead of changing one of those two things, they instead just moved the location to actually a smaller location further away from where they're at. So instead of being downtown, they're moving to Seven Flags Event Center, which is a questionable location. It's people don't necessarily like seeing shows there, much less a 2-day non-consecutive festival. But
it's still going to be non-consecutive?
Yeah, same, because they can't reroute the bands. So they've got the same lineup, so it's still going to be Friday and Sunday, but now instead of being outside downtown, it's going to be out in Seven Flags Event Center in Clive.
Well, at least they don't have to worry about weather now.
But yeah, you don't have to worry about weather, so if it rains now, they can laugh in the face of the clouds.
And no tear down and set back up.
In theory, I don't know if Seven Flags has something Saturday or not, but in theory, that's the one benefit to them, is it saves them time and cash and tearing down and setting up. So that's good, I suppose.
I mean, Saturday, since they have a stage, we could have Great Day Fest.
The first one ever.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
I'm just saying.
Over there and see if they'll go for it.
Opportunity knocks. So
We can call some bands.
Okay.
Real quick, one last note. Local show. Local band Good Cat is releasing an album this year. Actually, this week. So they're going to be playing down at Gaslamp on April 10th. Music starts at 9. Tickets are 10. If you get down there, take a few extra bucks, buy a CD.
Yeah, they were in here not too long ago. Very nice.
Yeah, nice guys.
people.
Yeah, great guys, good bands. So that's to look forward to this weekend. And that's all I've got.
Boom.
That's plenty. Oh
Done,
my
huh?
goodness. Are you kidding? Now, people want more information about what's happening musically. What do they do?
Bandbombshell.com. I had to think for a second there. That's rough. Bandbombshell.com. There's new stuff every day, and I'm in City View.
Yay!
What's your topic this week, real quick?
This week is Atomic Punks.
There it is.
Playing over at Valor Ballroom.
Perfect.
Tomorrow night.
Exactly.
There you go. That'll be. And if you've never seen Atomic Punks, well worth whatever
Van
they
Halen
charge.
tribute act. They're
Whatever they
legendary.
charge,
I
go
might
see
be
them.
there.
No, you should be there. You need to be there. We'll be right back.